Hi there guys, lovely to be with you all again today. It's Wednesday. Hope you've had a good day. Some of you have been off school because of the strike, or if you work for the social department or some of the other council departments, you'll have had a wee day off today. I hope it was a wee rest, a wee break. Not for those of you who are studying. I know there are more prelims tomorrow. History, art and design, maths, and others probably too. But I'm thinking of you, praying for you. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for asking us to pray for your exams. Thanks for letting us know how you got on. And so far, so good. Some of you don't have exams until next May. I'm praying for you as well. It's good just to be support of one another, and thanks for all your wee comments and wee messages of love that you send in, and thanks even this morning. Some of you have written in and said that you've been inspired by the videos and by some of the wee pictures and other wee comments that I've put on Facebook. I love you all to pieces. You're a great wee audience, and thanks for joining with us to watch these videos. It's lovely to be welcoming people day by day as well. I've got quite a backlog of friend requests. I think last night I looked, it was 132, so if I've not added you yet, be patient. I'm going through all the names and hope to get you all on soon. Good to be with us today. Thank you for joining us. We're in Luke chapter 8, a lovely story of Jesus raising from the dead Jairus' daughter, the little girl of 12 who'd been so ill. Her parents had been so worried about her for so long, and finally she died. But before we go on with that lovely story, I've got a wee shout out for a lovely wee friend called Keilty. God bless you, darling, wherever you are tonight. I hope your day has been good, and I hope you'll continue to enjoy these videos. Jesus, we had the story yesterday of how he'd sailed across the sea and driven out the demons of that poor man who lived in the graveyard. We saw how Jesus had calmed two storms, the storm at sea and the storm in the heart and life of that poor man possessed by so many spirits. Well, the disciples and Jesus returned back to the other side, to Capernaum, and there was a big crowd waiting for them on the shore. They knew that he was coming. It was amazing how people always knew where to find Jesus. He was a very, very popular guy indeed. And there was a very important man there to meet Jesus as he landed on the shore with his disciples and left the boat. His name was Jairus. He was a ruler of the synagogue. Now, in those days, important men like that didn't do menial things. But this man, he just came and threw himself on the ground at the feet of Jesus. That was something that just was not done in that culture. For an important man to fall down on the ground, you just didn't see that. But this man's heart was broken, and he said, "My little daughter is so ill, please come and heal her." Jesus said, "I'll go with you." And so they began to travel towards the home of Jairus. On the way, Jesus healed the lady with the problem of bleeding. We've heard that story before, how she just touched the edge of his cloak and she was healed of her terrible bleeding that she'd had for 12 years. But we had that another day. But as they moved towards the home of Jairus, somebody came hurrying from his house with the sad news: "Your daughter's dead. Don't bother the master any further. Don't trouble him. She's gone. There's no hope." Jairus must have begun to tremble and shake. And Jesus turned to him and looked lovingly into his eyes and said, "Don't be afraid, Jairus. Just believe and she will be healed." Don't be afraid. Just believe. I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know what pressures have come into your life. I don't know if you're having a horrible day or not. Or maybe you've had a horrible year. A number of people have said to me, sincerely, "I can't wait until this year finishes and I can put it behind me because it's been a terrible year." I don't know if 2011 has been a terrible year for you. Maybe it's been a good year. We get good ones and bad ones, don't we? We all do. 2011. Maybe you'll be glad to see the back of it. I don't know. But here was a situation that Jairus found himself in. A very, very horrible situation. Just heard the news of his little daughter's death. And here's Jesus saying, "Don't be afraid. Just believe." Maybe Jesus is coming to you through this video in your circumstances. You may not have lost a child. You may not have had terrible news like this. But there's something been troubling you. And Jesus is saying to you just now, as you look into my face, Jesus says, "Don't be afraid. Just believe. I'm going to work this out. You're going to come through. I've got a blessing for you. I've got sunshine for you after the rain. Trust me. Take my hand and everything is going to be okay." Don't be afraid, my lovely listener. Only believe. And so they went on towards the house, and by this time there's a ruckus, a rumpus. There's wailing and mourning going on. In those days they also had professional mourners, people that knew how to wail and wail really loudly. Don't know if they were there or if people were genuinely wailing with their grief. And Jesus turned to them and he said, "Stop this. Stop wailing. She's not dead. She's only sleeping." And they laughed at him and they thought he was crazy. But Jesus wouldn't let anybody come in except the little girl's parents, Jairus and his wife, and 3 of his apostles, Peter, James and John. And they went in. And there she was lying on her bed. And Jesus took her by the hand. And he said, "Little girl, wake up." And the little girl who was dead, her little eyes began to flicker. And she opened them. And I don't know, but I believe when she looked into the face of Jesus, holding her hand, she must have just sat up and given him a big hug. Well, her parents were just over the moon. The big smiles, the gasps. Can imagine her mum, just ecstatic, with tears not of grief now, but tears of joy. And Jesus says, "Give her something to eat. But don't tell anybody about this. Just keep things cool." And that's amazing. I think if I had raised somebody from the dead, I'd want everybody to know. I'd want it in the papers and on the BBC News. But Jesus always kept things calm. It was God. It was the work of God. And often God works best in quiet and in the secret place, without the big fanfare and the trumpets and the TV cameras. God's doing a work, and he wants to do a miracle for you, just quietly, in your situation and in your pain, Whatever you're struggling with today, maybe your heart's broken. Maybe you've thought today, I'll never get through this. Jesus is speaking to you again. Don't be afraid. Just believe. I wonder, will you do that? Trixie and I love you all very, very much. Thank you for watching. God bless. And see you tomorrow.